Hi, this is Lisa Piper with Miracle of Deliverance. I'm going to do a little bit of a different book review for you. If you are a deliverance minister or interested in deliverance ministry, I'm going to go through three books that I recommend, three of the many books that I recommend to my leaders in our team and for those interested. The difference today is I have extracted like 5 or 6 quotes from each book that I had underlined or highlighted. I'm going to tell you the title of the book and then read about 6 quotes so you can decide maybe if you'd like to have this book or not. Number 1, The Bondage Breaker, Overcoming Negative Thoughts, Irrational Feelings, and Habitual Sins. This book was written by Neil T. Anderson with Harvest House Publishers, and he may have published some self-publishing. I'm not sure, but it's 304 pages. And there are copyrights in 1990, 1993, 2000, maybe more, maybe 2019. So not all of the books are going to look like this. You can find some neat downloads too at his website at ficm.org. And here are some notable quotes. Page 13. I want to introduce you to the one who has already overcome the darkness and secured your freedom, Jesus Christ, the Bondage Breaker. Page 23. Freedom from spiritual conflict and bondage is not a power encounter, it's a truth encounter. Satan is a deceiver and he will work undercover at all costs. That's one of the reasons that we want the truth to be released when we're ministering to people. Page 33. The Christian worldview perceives life through the grid of Scripture, not through culture or experience. And Scripture clearly teaches that supernatural spiritual forces are at work in this world. For example, approximately 1/4 of all the healings recorded in the Gospel of Mark were deliverances. Page 39. You were not designed to function independent of God, nor was your soul designed to function as a master. Page 60. Many people have learned to lie in order to protect themselves. Other common defense mechanisms include denial, conscious or subconscious refusal to accept the truth, fantasy, escaping from the real world, emotional insulation, withdrawing to avoid rejection, regression, reverting to less than threatening times, displacement, taking out frustration on others, projection, blaming others, and rationalization, making excuses for poor behavior. I really like this because in the ministry, sometimes the reason that folks are not getting set free is because they have these defense mechanisms set up: denial, fantasy, emotional insulation, regression, displacement, projection, and rationalization. And sometimes you'll have to ask the Lord to help them tear those things down and allow the Lord to become their defense mechanism. That was long, but I really liked that point that he made. And finally, page 193, choosing truth, living a righteous life, and donning the armor of God are each believer's individual responsibility. I cannot be responsible for you, and you cannot be responsible for me. I can pray for you, encourage you in the faith, and counsel you, but if you go into the battle without your armor on, you may get hurt. Ouch. The next book is Everyone's Guide to Demons, Spiritual Warfare by Ron Phillips by Charisma House. Actually, I've noticed that the Bible I'm reading through right now, it's the Spiritual Warfare Bible, quotes a lot from Ron Phillips. This is 288 pages. The copyright in this book is 2010. And here are some of my favorite quotes. Imagine you were the station master of a state-of-the-art railroad. Your job is to see that the computers and train schedules run perfectly. What would be more dangerous? A clock that was 5 hours off or a clock that was 30 seconds off? Of course, if a clock were 5 hours off, any one of your employees and customers would notice the error and it would be corrected. However, a 30-second error could cost hundreds of lives in a fast-paced, busy switching station. Something that looks awfully close to the truth is more dangerous than a blatant, obvious lie, from pages 132 and 133. Have we cluttered up our message with our own tastes and cultural preferences? Where do we draw the line at what God requires and what man prefers? From page 173. You and I have no authority within ourselves over demons, yet these wicked spiritual forces are fully aware of the authority that is ours in Jesus Christ. Even though an ambassador of our country lives outside of our own country, he still has citizenship. And when he speaks with the authority of Washington, D.C., and all the might of the United States. Likewise, we are citizens of heaven, and here on earth we speak with all the authority of heaven. From page 201. At times, our praise will bind the spirits that try to harass our lives. The demon of depression will often flee if we just begin to sing. God has promised to give us the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, and that's page 244. Do you think God bankrupted heaven to send his beloved son to hang on a cross for 6 hours under the noonday sun of Israel and to bleed his life's blood out so you could play church games? He spent his blood to change you, to heal you inside and out, to transform you forever. Page 248. And finally, the book Who Switched Off My Brain? Controlling Toxic Thoughts and Emotions by Dr. Caroline Leaf. Dr. Caroline Leaf is a cognitive neurologist with a PhD in communication pathology. She specializes in cognitive and metacognitive neuropsychology. This little book is 144 pages, copyrighted in 2007 and 2009, and I believe there may be an updated version. There's also a workbook that goes with it. Now, I'm not someone who can read the technical, mathematical books. That's difficult for me. And I may have even said that incorrectly. So for some of us, it's going to be difficult to get through this book. She does a lot of medical terminology, but I want to tell you that when you get through that, the information is quite good in this book, and that's why I recommend it. Let me give you some quotes. Just starting out in the introduction page, it reads, "Behavior starts with a thought. Thoughts stimulate emotions, which then result in attitude, and finally produce behavior." That's important to know in deliverance ministry when casting out demons is about, as the late Bill Sudduth said, it's about 5% of what we do. A lot of what we do is show people how to hear from God, how to control their emotions, how to get their minds renewed, how to get inner healing. And so I think that this statement is really good to know. From page 4, emotions that regularly release a torrent of destructive chemicals that will be the most damaging over time are unforgiveness, anger, rage, resentment, depression, worry, anxiety, frustration, fear, excessive grief, and guilt. That's from page 4. Research shows that around 87% of illness can be attributed to our thought life and approximately 13% to diet, genetics, and environment. From page 4. Science is discovering that your heart's brain is a real intelligent force behind the intuitive thoughts and feelings you experience. That's page 71. And also from that page, once again, this is a case of science catching up with the wisdom of Scripture. Suppressed emotional pain doesn't just disappear, it can turn into lingering physical pain. Page 77. As a parent, you need to know that negative, fearful thoughts actually change your child's brain chemistry. It's not an overstatement to say putting too much stress on children is a form of child abuse. Page 87. Well, those are 3 books that I highly recommend. I hope that that will help you decide whether you're going to purchase one or not. And I will be coming up with more off of my bookshelf in the future. If you want more information on our classes, videos, education, www.miracleofdeliverance.com.